One is our food services has this program where you can buy a takeout container, and it's reusable, and you pay one price, and if you break it or it gets damaged, you can hand it back in and they'll give you another one. So the idea there is they want to promote people to still, if they need to purchase lunch, but do it in a way that they can reuse the materials that are being used in which they're carrying their lunch, so that it's easy to use, they can take it with them, and it's very economically feasible in terms of, I think it's like $6 or $7. And then the other thing I'm familiar with is that food services has moved to having, even though for the disposable items that they have that aren't that can't be reused, that they've gone to more greener kinds of materials and such that they can break down. So not just like the food container, but also your utensils that you're using, that they've purchased materials that have whatever it's made of, it'll break down easier in the landfill. So that's another thing, a route that they've done. And then I think in some of the labs that they're doing in the sciences, they've moved to using more green kinds of materials, and especially in some of the wet labs for chemistry, and changing some of those where they can leverage technology to still teach students the same kinds of skills and knowledge, but doing it in a way that they don't always have to use materials that potentially could be hazardous because of the nature of the discipline that they're in, and those are just the kinds of things that they have to work with if you're in chemistry or biology or kinesiology, for example. So those are the ones that I'm familiar with, other than the ones that have been mentioned already by Lisa and anyone else you might have talked to.
So around Laurier, noticeably there's like garbage cans, but they also have bottles and cans and different paper slots, and to support recycling and things like that, which is definitely sustainable. Also at Laurier we have the EcoHawk program, which is a club that basically promotes being environmentally sound and sustainable.
They recently introduced a more advanced recycling program in all the departments. They introduced 4 separate units for recycling, so there's composting, regular garbage, paper, and plastic. And we were given instruction by a newly hired sustainability officer to figure out what goes in which bin and how that would affect how our garbage and recycling is picked up in our office on a regular basis. So I know that's one of the big initiatives that they undertook. I know they do a lot of they promote the car share program, and when the commuter challenge is on, Laurier always gets actively involved in that. So there's a lot of different areas that are taken into consideration for that effort.
How it's happening. I'd like to make a comment on maybe how it's not happening and how we can do a better job. I'm sitting here having a Starbucks treat, and look at all the packaging that I'm surrounded with that to me is quite unnecessary, and it's going to end up in the garbage bin. We've got to do something about that. We've got to be a little smarter and not let Starbucks and Tim Hortons just run the show with their high packaging organizations.
So in the sciences at Laurier, we're moving away from more hazardous chemicals that have a complex disposal system that would be very hazardous if released into the environment, and we're moving to more healthy, safer methods of chemicals to use in the labs, and therefore more environmentally friendly just for disposal and purposes like that. So that's a very good move, I think, and that way we will have a less chance of releasing hazardous chemicals into our environment.
Currently at Laurier, at the printing service kiosk, we have 30% recycled paper or 100% recycled paper. Another thing that we are doing is we make sure we recycle everything, and for any paper that doesn't contain confidential information, we actually make a book out of it, bind it, and people can actually use it for notes in class and only use the one side, so that we're kind of reducing our waste in that sense.